Welcome, Mr. Sudhir Sinha.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you, Mr. Kothari. Thank you very much.
we
Uh,
will now have our next round of keynote address by Mr. Sudhir Sinha, CEO, Uttar Pradesh Microfinance Association. He will cover the topic of COVID-induced challenges faced by MFIs in rural India and the way forward. Over to you, Mr. Sudhir Sinha.
Thank you, Mr. Kothari. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning to all of you. I could not see the people who are here, but I believe there are a good number of speakers. Uh, First of all, I would like to submit it is very difficult to speak after Mr. Satish because Satish has covered the entire spectrum of microfinance. So it is not an easy job to speak after Satish. Satish is a very senior person and he has a lot of experience. Anyhow, with the assignment given to me, I would like to do justice with the time. I would take from you some 15, 20 minutes. My only son, this COVID pandemic has caused uneasy damages to the Indian society, to the Indian economy. In an attempt to rescue or review the entire Indian economy from slump, the banking sector has received special attention. Ironically, there is hardly any discussion on the role and the challenges of the microfinance institutions, which microfinance institutions cater to the most vulnerable sector of the society. Thanks to Elets for bringing this a very important issue on fore, that MFIs as MFIs have a significant contribution in achieving the much talked about objective of financial inclusion. A significant number of MFI clients are employed in low income generating jobs such as rickshaw pullers, vegetable vendors, laborers, porters, artisans, and other things. What we have seen in this entire scenario when the COVID situation arrived, all the people have lost a job. Everybody has his concern whether it is a big person or a small person. Everybody has it. But in microfinance, what happened is people have do not have much amount of saving to continue even for a week or so. So the people have started migrating from the jobs. Rickshaw puller or the artisans, when there was nobody on the road to travel, rickshaw pullers, pullers, or artisans, they started their job of putting vegetable vendors and vegetable vendors or other things, eatables, but the raw eateries were also not available. So somebody started selling flowers, fruits, vegetables, etc. One more very distressing thing what we observed in this entire COVID period, that there were laborers who were working. You must have seen in all important cities. There are laborers sitting at some crossroad where you can hire the labor for a day or two from that particular place. Now these laborers were having nothing to carry on, so they find out a new job and they went to the cremation ground. On the cremation ground, there was a rush of dead bodies. These people started loading the dead bodies on their shoulders to bring it to the pyre. That is the most distressing thing what we have noticed about the artisans or about the laborers who were nothing to pull on, and they were just residing on the pavements or on other places. So this type of many such situations we have already seen across India. It is not only in particular region or this particular area; it is in a particular region. However, the current infallible accounts put them in a dilemma about whether to continue or temporarily suspend the operation because neither there is a supply line nor there is a delivery line. So there are some compelling factors for the dilemma. One, the administrative restrictions and pandemic have hampered the operations of MFI. Two, as the clients are themselves struggling to make their livelihood, making periodic repayment is difficult and consequently the loan portfolio seems to have been deteriorating. Three, in response to the deteriorating portfolio, MFIs may stop or restrict their financing activities. This overt behavior may create a wrong impression among the clients that MFIs seem to be running away when they are most needed. And that MFIs are purely driven by the commercial objective comprising the social objective. So we were thus in this way we were put in very tight situation. As the virus is spreading and the death toll is on the rise, there is no certainty about how long the crisis will prevail and how much time will the Indian economy will take to revive from the slump. With negative growth rate persisting over the last 2 quarters, as Satish has said, and fear of a slow growth rate continuing in the post-pandemic period, in the short and medium run, the MFIs would have to face most difficult time in terms of credit loss and poor liquidity. On the other side, economic slowdown has direct adverse effect on the productive economic activities thanks to both demand and supply side constraints. Consequently, not only does it refrain the MFI client from venturing into enterprises, but it also creates a problem of indebtedness. Hence, the dilemma are multi-pronged, needing scrutiny from both MFIs and client perspective. Both the challenges there. I would now like to analyze the challenge from these two, the MFI's perspective and from the client's perspective. The pandemic depends largely in regard to MFI's perspective. Pandemic largely depends on the extent of cash flow from to MFIs, their operational sustainability, and the governance. The cash flow to MFIs comprises primarily loan repayment by the clients, followed by borrowings from financial institutions. However, loan prepayment capacity of the client have seemed to fallen down during the pandemic. The loan repayment, which during pre-COVID period means I want to say pre-March 19 situation, this loan recovery in microfinance used to hover between 1 to 1.2%. Means in the MFI sector, the recovery, the delinquencies has never gone beyond 1 or 1.2%, barring the Andhra crisis or the PP in that period. But in the recent past, our data reveals that recently, by April data, we are having the April data, the recovery has the recovery delinquencies have come to 11.3627%, which have increased by 2.36% over March. Means already in March we were already under the recovery pressure of post COVID one. In COVID two, we another has another this concern of poor recovery. 11 and 12% recovery is a very big recovery challenge. Delinquencies is a very big challenge in microfinance. Looking at the upside of the pandemic impact, MFIs plan to halt there. When this pandemic, then now the MFIs were caught in a very peculiar situation. Now what to do? Their cash generation is not there, and this lead to heavy financial burden on them. So what the MFIs were left with very little options. One option was there either to raise the rate of interest, another is to curtail their operational expenses. If the rate of interest, there are again limitations. They cannot go beyond what the Supreme Court, what the Reserve Bank has mandated. But there are certain organizations which have already created a lot of cushion in rate of interest as per the RBI guidelines, like this institutions like Cashcore, BFIL, SATIN. These institutions have reduced the rate of interest below the RBI mandated guideline. So they may have some cushion of 1% or 1.2%, but others may not have. Then again, if we are going to, if some coordination is going to enhance the rate of interest, it will have a very negative aspect. The entire business line may have. So this option was not very feasible. Then the second option was that we can curtail our operational expenses. In case of microfinance, the basic operational expenses are related to the employees' salary, staff. Staff, then there was three issues in regard to the staff. First thing, what we thought either either we can do put some employee on layoff or to curtail their salary or to reduce the staff strength. If you reduce, then every reason was studied. If you reduce the staff strength, then again we have to hire. Hiring will put an additional cost on MFIs. If you put layoff, or if you put salary cut, then again there will be a demoralizing factor and their staff would be demoralized. एक तरफ COVID है, his own family problems are there. People are already on sick. People are already requiring a lot of expenses. And in this difficult time, we are going to put a burden upon them by reducing their salary. So this option was also not practical, feasible, or social also, humanitarian also. So this option was also not considered. Then the third option was there that we can ask the people to that salary could be revision for some period, and we can reduce the deferred salary system. But again, it was thought that if we are going to defer, again the same issue is there. So this issue also did not work. So they are just in this way and again, the reconstruction of the loan, and as Satish has already told about this, about moratorium, that moratorium were given, moratorium, we extended the moratorium to the borrower, but our borrower, the bankers did not extend the same courtesy to us, and we were put in a lot of challenging situation. Given the complex challenge, the sustainability of operations and continuity of microfinance services largely depend upon the skill set of its management and experience of its employees. The MFI is having a good governance structure, and employees with technical skill in banking and finance did perform better in compared to their counterparts lacking the same. But some of the organizations did better because the managerial expertise, employees' behavior, and the employees did interact with the customer, and they could do better. These organizations have been able to overcome the crisis, but still there are certain big and small size enterprises which are still facing these challenges. So now this with this about the MFI's challenges, let us come to the client perspective. The client, in regard to the client's perspective, MFI clients have, as I've already told, that these people have changed their in order to continue, they have changed their livelihood process. Supposing, as I told you, that rickshaw puller started sending vegetable puller started selling flowers, and like that, somebody want to find out some method how to continue during these difficult times. And then there was, in absence of any income generation, they are expected to utilize loan primarily for home, because there is no, so there health is also, health issues also cropped up in many of the families. There are so multiple borrowings started creeping up, and the risk of migration of the client from the urban to rural area seem to again making a problem. Of course, the government of India announced the programs in regard, for example, PM Swaniji program was announced by government of India. In the PM Swaniji again, what happened? When we learned about this scheme that the government of India has around 5,000 crores from PM Swaniji, we were very much accelerated. But then what happened? That this PM Swaniji, first of all, it was catering to the urban sector, urban or semi-urban sector, and microfinance is having 48% clientele from the rural area. So our 48% client could not be covered under this PM Swaniji. Then second thing, in on the urban sector, where we wanted to this NBFC were put on par with commercial banks, cooperative banks, and Grameen Bank. So what these, but since as our Satish has already told that we are facing the problem of lenders, we were not getting sufficient lending because equity was there, not there. Investors were also backing out, we were under tight hands. So we could not disperse that loan because of shortage of credit supply. Then second thing what we did is, then of course government of India came out with some other ways of giving free ration. Free ration really has done a wonderful job, and the people could survive. People could survive. That is true. Interestingly, the agriculture and then the client who have fewer installment. Then coming to this loan outstanding, what happened is Installments were getting stuck. When the installments are getting stuck, then the clients were told that if you are going to become a default borrower, your credit history will become poor, will become negative, and you cannot take loan from other sources. So, as I told earlier, there started a multiple way because the borrower wanted to repay their loan at any cost if their installments are lesser in number. Supposing somebody is having 4 or 5 installments, then these 4 or 5 installments, they will be taking some other loan, they will repay that loan and take another loan. But then again, this was not a very good, very encouraging phenomena because microfinance sector latest data shows that credit delivery during the period has declined by 69%. And the client coverage has also gone down by 70% in compared to the market data. And so the client coverage was come, delivery related delivery supply was also less. So what happened is, putting those the clients who have fewer installment left are more likely to clear the debts compared to those who have most of all their installments left. Particularly those who have recently availed the credit are expected to be greater default as the low collection may not provide in them good earnings. So as I already told you, agriculture sector of course did well. So in from agriculture, that is 48%. I have told 48% of the agriculture sector and the rural sector, they could better service their debts better. In urban and semi-urban center where the PMC Yojana was announced by the government of India, we could not garner benefit of that. So with these challenges, now the question is what the way forward? When we have to wait forward, as we have already seen that TLTRO around the government, TLTRO 1 or TLTRO 2 could not do provide much relief to microfinance. Then PM Swanidhi Yojana also announced, but by Government of India, microfinance was made first time it was made as a partner with the PM entire ecosystem, but also we could not garner a better pie out of this. As there may be some pretty low participation in certain districts or certain locations, but it's most of the states even this PM Swanidhi Yojana by MFIs were not taken up. Of course, then the third latest effort by Government of India about this PM's about this credit guarantee scheme. And this guarantee scheme, yes, of course, as Satish has already dealt, it has really be treated as a good resource, good support to the microfinance section because it has the scheme has been better in three respects. Uh, First, what we see is that the tenure of loan has been announced from 18 months to 36 months. That was one thing. Then second thing, there is the rate of interest, there's a cap on rate of interest. As already told, that's some 1 or 2% or in CLR. So the rate of interest cap was there. And third, and the most important thing in this credit guarantee scheme is there that earlier the microfinance institutions where institutions have to provide collateral upfront and did not get time to originate fresh loan. However, with this credit guarantees in place, MFIs will perhaps get 3 to 4 months time to originate the portfolio and pledge it. So now the entire scenario, what we come forward is supply side from the lender side credit guarantee scheme may support, provide a good support to the micro institutions, but still there are challenges in the because investors are yet to flow their equity in the system, and we are waiting for the investors to open their hand. But of course, investors are also looking to the entire ecosystem where the lending and the economy is going. And third thing is credit behavior. Credit behavior, of course, I'm proud to say that our microfinance employees have really did their best. In none of the state, in any part of the country, any complaint has come about harassing the client. Our staff deserve all appreciation that these people, in even in most difficult times, never resorted to anything beyond a beyond permissible COC code of conduct by Reserve Bank. They have observed is very strict observance of code of conduct was there. That is one of the most important point what the credit, what the informed, what these employees of MFIs have exhibited. Of course, in case of banking and other things, we cannot say this thing because bankers have got a protection of recovery certificate. By putting the recovery certificate, they can put the person somebody on for 14 days in tahsil lockup. But we, as a microfinance client, microfinance practitioners, do not have this option. Neither we ever tried to do that. Only thing was we have always tried to connect with the client through phone and to other things. One more thing, what more very our most of the people did, and so most of the organizations did, they created their branches as a isolation center because in villages there was no isolation center. So these people created their own offices as well, isolation centers. गांव में छोटे छोटे झोपड़ी में किसके पास isolation? When somebody was COVID affected and he was trying to microfinance people, branch people offered their premises as an isolation center for clients as well as for the staff. Medicines were distributed, then all the necessary medicines or necessary support to the client and the staff was provided. So this way, our staff could maintain a good cord with their clients. And of course, most of the institutions also taken a good care of their employees also, even when there were cases of death, when there were cases of hospital admission, sorry. So and then these our most of their leaders they took their in provided vehicle and transported the client staff from house to the hospital, arrange what best they can do in providing oxygen cylinders or admission. In various, this has happened across the entire state. And I believe it may be the culture of the entire state and the country also. But then Microsoft people exhibited their full responsiveness during this COVID period. And now it is for what we are with what style speakers. I believe that they will provide few fresh light to the entire segment how to be, move forward because our supply line is completely impacted. When testers are waiting at the boundary line where to enter the field or not, bankers are also suspicious how to extend the credit. But our people have created a demand, a urge for the demand line. Our demand line, our implies are the sound and the most important instrument of the bank. With these words, I beg to thank you, Elets. I thank you for all the speakers and look forward for better session to strengthen the sector and come to the expectations of the government and the client. Thank you, Mankutari. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sudhir Sinha, for addressing the COVID-induced challenges faced by MFIs in rural India and the way forward. We would now like to provide Mr. Sudhir Sinha, Chief Executive Officer, Uttar Pradesh Microfinance Association, with a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha, for your valuable time. Thank you.